I'm probably the only person on the planet, hopefully, that is completely sick of looking at Crow Country. It's just a call to action to the whole world. It is a dream of mine to have my game completely demolished. Hi, I'm Adam Vian. I'm normally a creative director, writer, designer type person at SFB Games.
Hi, I'm Tom Vian. I am one half of SFB Games. I am normally programmer and business and 10 other hats.
We're about to release Crow Country, which is a kind of classic style survival horror game. So normally Tom and I will kind of come up with ideas together, but this one it started as a hobby project just on my end because I love PS1 survival horror type stuff. I played a lot of them over the last few years and I just thought, I want to make my own. My favourite would be Silent Hill 3, and then honourable mention, Resi 2 Classic, Resi 1 Remake, Parasite Eve 2, I could go on, I won't. I'll stop. So I started it, didn't tell Tom for about 6 months. And then it accidentally grew into something substantial, which he's now come on board and helped with and finished. So yes, it was an unusual process for SFB Games because it was kind of a secret side thing that accidentally became our main release. I also found myself being inspired by the look of the original Final Fantasy VII, specifically the contrast between kind of low poly, chunky, basic looking characters against a pre-rendered backdrop. That's kind of what Crow Country is, a horror game by way of an FF7 aesthetic. That's kind of what's going on. We have a complex filter shader on the camera that does a lot of things to the pixels, and we just kind of accidentally realized, oh, it looks like pre-rendered artwork, but it's 3D. That's a cool gimmick. People have responded well to that. It's a little different to your average kind of low poly PS1 indie game. We've had a really good response just from showing screenshots. People go, wow, this looks really cool. People ask me if it is pre-rendered just by, and I go, well, no, it's being live rendered, it's 3D, which is kind of cool. So I started working on it in 2019 or 2020. I can't actually remember exactly when it was. So obviously we had the pandemic, we had a lockdown. Our official project was sort of on hiatus for a while, so I basically had a lot of official free time, and I worked on it for probably a year-ish before Tom saw it properly. Would you say that's true, Tom?
Yeah, that's about right. Before you showed me that it was even a thing. Like, I didn't play a bit of it until probably a year after that.
And then I can only really say that it's finished, and maybe it isn't finished yet, I hope it is. I can only really say it's been finished in the last few weeks, as is the nature of video games. You know, you're tweaking up until the last second. We've tweaked it since sending out keys to reviewers. We've tweaked it in small ways. So yeah, I guess it's done now, just about. Generally, horror games have some kind of mystery in them. The best and greatest and most simple example is Silent Hill 2, which has the best hook of all time. It's literally just, I got a letter from my dead wife. That's such a good hook. So I wanted something that was just, you know, an unfolding mystery for players to discover as they went through. I'll be honest with you, the theme park came first. And then I was basically like, okay, the first question is, why would there be monsters of any kind? That's the first hurdle you've got to get over when you're writing a horror game is, why are there monsters? You know, Resident Evil 2, it's a virus, and then Silent Hill, they're manifestations, supernatural manifestations. Okay, there's two examples. What else can you do? So that was kind of my starting point, and then I worked backwards from there. Let's make a list of characters you might find in such a setting, and the owner of the theme park became the central figure of that story. So I just kind of worked backwards from what I wanted the story to be about. I just enjoy the blocking out phase at the beginning of a video game. So I was thinking, okay, what areas do I want? I wanted a location that easily gave up themed areas for the game. So with a theme park, you've obviously got, you know, themed areas like, oh, it's a fairy tale land, or it's a haunted Halloween land, or whatever it is. That's easy. That works itself. On a more granular level, you've got attractions and rides and restaurants and gift shops and back rooms and corridors and staff hallways and all that kind of fun stuff. So it was just a really good, juicy starting point for idea generation. And it's very much inspired by my personal fascination with kind of the back rooms of, say, a Disneyland, which is kind of this forbidden fruit of something you're not allowed to see, and it's kind of fascinating, and you see all these locked doors, and you want to. I've always wanted to see kind of behind the animatronics in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, I find that so fascinating. So yeah, I wanted to build my own basically so I could explore that.
And exploration mode is the exact same story, the exact same environment, except all danger and enemies have been turned off. It's available from the start. It's just one of the 2 modes you get when you start a new game. A playthrough is either survival horror mode or exploration mode. So you can imagine yourself turning up to this situation where someone has already swept through and done the job for you. And you turn up and you're like, okay, now I just need to solve puzzles and explore the theme park, meet characters, unravel the story. And it becomes a admittedly very spooky puzzle adventure game, essentially. Survival horrors usually are that, just there's the element of danger and fear layered over the top, and this just sort of puts that away. So if that's not for you, you can just play through and enjoy the story.
So there are people who will say, oh, this looks really great, but I can't play horror games, or I don't play horror games because they've kind of decided that they're too scary or too stressful, or they're not good enough at them. And there's a lot of people like that, actually. So I kind of wanted Crow Country to be able to say, oh, you can play this too, because you'd get a lot out of it. You get a lot out of the exploration and the puzzle solving and the story and the adventure, just general video gameness of it. But if you don't want to worry about being attacked and killed while you do it, that's fine. You can play that version as well. And it's been a popular decision. A lot of people say, oh, thanks for adding this. I wouldn't have been able to play it otherwise. So that's my take on the kind of difficulty setting. I've just basically said, okay, there's a version which is full survival horror and a version which kind of isn't. We've actually got a number of things encouraging people to play a second time. There are 15 hidden secrets in the game, just sort of straight off. And I would imagine most people might find about half of them in any given playthrough, unless they're trying very hard. They're probably going to get around 7, let's say. That's been our experience. So that already is, okay, I want to go back in and find the stuff I missed, because maybe it leads to optional rooms and secrets and weapons you didn't find. So that's one thing. And then when you beat the game, you get a rank, which is sort of traditional Resident Evil style, A, B, S, whatever. And that's based on your performance in a few ways. And then you will get unlockable bonuses of some sort. And those carry through across any future playthroughs. So they give you an incentive to play again with different equipment, maybe. We haven't told anyone what they are, but you'll find them if you get a certain rank. And then regardless of rank, you also unlock a new game plus kind of bonus game that just kind of hangs over the whole game, which encourages you to play again as well. So there's kind of 3 prongs. I think it's a pretty good game for replay value and playing a second or third time, because there's a lot to find. So yeah, I look forward to people telling me that they've 100%ed it maybe after a second or third playthrough. So one thing I'm really looking forward to people experiencing is all the music in the game, which is composed by Okoroid, who did this beautiful soundtrack that's really emotionally broad and strong. There's some really sweet moments in Crow Country. There's a couple of moments that are funny. There's some sad stuff. It's quite a good it's a really good soundtrack, and it's quite a good kind of emotional journey. So I really look forward to people uncovering all of that, because only a very small amount of it is in the demo slice. Some of the sort of NPC themes are some of the more melodic pieces in the game, because a lot of the time when you're playing the game, the music is just kind of ambient noise of some sort. So some of the character themes and the story beats are where we allowed the music to really flourish and thrive. So that's exciting. There's a couple of jump scares, I'll call them jump scares, moments in the game that I'm looking forward to people experiencing. I'm going to be watching YouTube videos and streams and seeing that happen, unfold. My favorite thing in the game is just one of the NPCs who I really like. He's a guy with a bicycle, and he's kind of slightly stupid. And there's a running joke that he finds Crow Country infuriating because he doesn't know how to solve any of the puzzles. So it leans on the fourth wall slightly, which is what anyone would feel if they went to a place that happened to be set up with riddles and keys, So I'd like that joke. It just amuses me. We're kind of burnt out. Like, I'm in a really weird spot where I'm probably the only person on the planet, hopefully, that is completely sick of looking at Crow Country. That will turn around very quickly once people start playing it, because that's a new experience for me. But as it stands right now, because I've been glued to it for years, I'm just like, okay, does anyone else like this? Like, what's happening? Does it work? One more thing I wanted to say, just a call to action to the whole world. I really, really want speedrunners to get in on this game. I would love to see some ridiculous speedruns. It is a dream of mine to have my game completely demolished by some pro runner, maybe a year down the line, not on day one, but I would love to see that. I think it's a good speedrunning game because there's a good mix of routing and challenge and optimization with a little bit of RNG luck as well. So I think it would be a great speedrun. I'm really hoping that happens. But I can do a speedrun myself, and I've got it down because I played the game a million times. So I want to sort of wait and see what other people come up with, and then I might say, okay, guys, just so you know, this is my route. And it's pretty efficient because I've worked it out mathematically. There's a million things that you might not know you could skip, or there are actually puzzles you can skip if you know a certain kind of back way around them. There's so many little things, but I don't want to say anything because I really want people to discover that stuff organically. It's way more fun that way.
Right. I mean, that's the fun of speedrunners, right? Is working together to find those things. So if we just hand them out, that's the...
And we will not be patching anything that they find unless it's really harming the average player. So we're just going to let it ride.